We're doing this a little bit earlier than usual, although not really. So this has been a pretty lousy week for reasons that were described in the 3 bad days stream I did a few days ago. And there are two topics I wanted to discuss today that they kind of they go hand in hand with each other because I was talking about one of them to this person, and then this other person was brought up, and then we found out what happened to them. And um, if we hadn't talked about the first topic I'm discussing, then we wouldn't have talked about the second one, which wouldn't have led us to discover recent occurrences with this other individual. So I'm gonna see if we can wait for a little bit of the chat to start popping up. If they don't, I'll begin anyway, because not gonna sit here all day waiting for people to show up on a stream. I've made that very clear in the past. A lot of times I put a title and people sometimes get confused by them, and I expect that to happen because I might put something there that doesn't immediately spell out what actually is being discussed. So that's why it's a little irritating when you try to start talking about something, and then people who are jumping onto a stream while it's ongoing want you to like pause and go, "Hey, wait, what do you mean by this?" So that's why I just was willing to wait maybe a few minutes for people to show up, but if they don't, I'll just begin because we're not going to play the repetition game. I don't know. A lot of times it seems like it's just dead air waiting for people to pop up and reveal themselves. Of course, I would start a stomach ache while I'm beginning the stream. That figures that would happen. It's always lovely when you have some kind of effect go off while you're sitting here and trying to do something. It doesn't distract you. It doesn't unnerve you. It just happens. Um, how should we start this off? So when I did my stream last Saturday, which I mostly liked because my brother was there, and anytime he's around, um, and it's like on one of the days I stream, like Saturday or Sunday, I usually will invite him to cameo on there because I notice he's speaking a lot less because he's playing some game or doing something else. Um, so again, I mostly like the stream, but there was a pattern of behavior that I found very bizarre, like kind of weird. And it's not one of those things that really pisses me off. Like there are certain things people do on YouTube that I really don't like. Um, that includes like always comment on streams, never comment on videos, and then like just little stuff like that. I'm not a fan of. But this was actually something I just thought was kind of weird. Like what's the point of doing this? Um, I've tried very hard as a person on here to operate as a singular entity. And what that means is that outside of doing one stream with my best friend and then maybe several with my little brother, I largely do things by myself. I come up with my own terms. I don't put, these different groups as titles in any of my stuff. And I do that because I think a lot of people have this like oversimplified view of men that can't get with a woman or get like have a hard time getting a date or whatever. So they try to lump all of them into the same category. Oh, your personality is awful and you're ugly and all this other, dumb stuff. And I think if I were to affiliate with teams like that, my singular specific grievances with chicks would be like completely brushed under the rug in favor of just saying, "Oh, well, he's part of that group, so he just wants to get banged," even though he could just go to the state right next to his if he wanted that. But whatever. People they come up with all kind of fan fiction. But that's the reason I don't do that. I don't affiliate with these groups because I don't want my singular issues with these chicks to get overlooked, to be written off in favor of like again like just he must want this because he's part of this team and we think that this team wants that. So I don't affiliate with the groups because I don't see where it benefits me to do something like that. Um, Now this person's been mentioned on a stream I did about maybe 2, 3, it might have been last year actually, uh, somewhere around January, maybe December, but there was a user who mentioned this person, and he said that he puts women in check or some kind of thing where basically he has like a call-in show, and I've always hated those because to me, they just appear to be like an exercise in futility. You speak to a person who is illogical, and then your audience who already agrees to is like, yeah, yeah, you tell them, and then it's like this big circle jerk where everybody's time is wasted talking to someone that is not actually trying to have a nuanced discussion where they concede the validity of certain points. So to me, it just always seemed like a really like fruitless thing. It doesn't accomplish anything. But again, I don't fault people who do those. I just personally don't see a point in doing that myself. Like just of having random chicks call in and then you speak to them and they just, you know, double down on their stupidity. So I kind of just brushed it off because, people have occasionally mentioned other, I guess, romance channels on here before. Um, and then when I did my stream on Saturday, this same person, this third time he's been mentioned on the stream, this same person was mentioned by like 3 or 4 different people, and one of them, admittedly my mod, was like making fun. He was like, "Is this the new Jesus for you?" And one of them said yes, like actually responded that he was the romance Jesus. And I thought it was very insane, but I guess maybe it's harder for people who aren't content creators to understand specific grievances or issues that I might have with some of this stuff. If you're doing videos about a topic that somebody else also does, albeit in a different way, and you're much smaller than that person, you don't think it's weird that the larger person would have people reference him and talk about him while you're doing a video? It's kind of like if Jim Cornette was doing a wrestling stream where he was just talking about wrestling, and then people start talking about Stone Cold's podcast. Like, okay, well, you can talk about wrestling without talking about Stone Cold. You're not here at a Stone Cold podcast. Like, if his podcast is so good, go watch him instead of me. Like if this other person is so great, go watch him instead of me. Um, and again, I understand bringing somebody up if you're making like a point of an argument, like, oh, this person said this, and this applies to what you're saying as well. But it's literally like free advertising. Do you watch this person? Have you seen this other person? And I just thought it was so weird that these men have like turned themselves into walking, talking billboards for a guy that has, what is it, 300,000 subs. I find that very strange, and it's again, it's another one of those things that people who don't make content don't understand. So that's why I have to sit here and try to break it down, explain it, and put it in terms they can sort of comprehend, even though they're going to do the exact same stupid stuff because they've mentioned other people as well. And again, they never bring these people up usually to make a point. It's always just let me name drop this other person who is much larger or more well known on a stream of someone who's lesser known. I just think it's really weird. And the people who tend to do this are individuals that don't watch me regularly. One of the people who said, the guy that said that this commentator was Jesus of romance, I've seen appear on maybe 2 or 3 streams in the last 2 years. Like he's a very, very infrequent viewer. Like he almost just vanishes for like these long, protracted amounts of time. So that's why when he does stupid stuff, I just feel like, well, he's just going to vanish anyway. So it doesn't matter if you try to correct him because he's not even going to be here to make the corrections. I just think it's weird. Imagine going to the Young Turks and they're doing a stream about, they always talk about politics. And in the comments, like people are like, you need to go watch Justin. You need to go check his videos out. He's speaking the truth. He's a lot more nuanced and open about his biases. You would never see that. And again, that would make more sense to me because one person's way more smaller. So this person is going to somewhere that they believe a large even though if you actually look at TYT's live stream section, it's just a bunch of trolls, but they're going to a channel that they believe can, by mentioning my name, elicit a larger amount of people to know who I am. In the case of like this, it's like some weird backwards endorsement where they're bringing up another guy who's way bigger than me on my channel just for the sake of, like, again, free advertising. Let me, because again, I didn't know who that person was before he was mentioned here. That also tells you that a lot of these guys really do just like sit online all day and just search the internet, scouring for videos about men not being able to get with the broad. He said, yeah, he said this guy will enlighten you. More nebulous terms. But see, that's another thing I was talking about. Imagine if you're doing a romance stream, just you as a general person, and somebody comes in there and they write, Justin will enlighten you. It's like, what does that even mean? And it's like, if he's so, again, if I am so great in this hypothetical where I'm being mentioned on somebody else's channel, wouldn't you go watch me instead of being on this person's stuff? This other person says he would open your eyes big time. Some of the stuff they write actually kind of sounds a little creepy. Like I don't really I dare to think if people were saying I'll open someone's eyes and enlighten them, it really does sound like a cult. And we have our lovely two people aren't saying anything. I don't know what's going on. I remember that one broad that that said she wasn't gonna watch me anymore. She came back like 2 years later, or rather a year later, and like, you only have two people watching you because you're so, like, just go away. Just leave. Do what you said you would do. The person who's never done a stream will make fun of the person who does. And then talk to me like I can control the number of people that pop up on here. You know, sometimes it's three, sometimes it's six, sometimes it's nine. It really just depends. You only have this many people. Like, okay, good. Every time people start doing that numbers thing, I just roll my eyes. They always try to act like there's this specific number of people that are watching that's going to make the stream magical or better or actually have merit. Let's not address what he's saying. Let's just talk about numbers that he has no control over. Because it's another deflection. No, we were given some examples yesterday where I was talking about how if I was running for office, let's say just as an example, and I was you know, I'm obviously much lesser known than most politicians because most candidates are lesser known than actual people who've been elected to something. And then someone comes in the building as I'm giving a speech, like, you need to go watch Obama's podcast. Like, you're gonna promote this much more famous person at the premises or in the capacity of watching someone who's much smaller. Like, what is that? Like, how weird is it that you're going to promote somebody with hundreds of thousands of subs on a channel with less than 3,000? That is so weird. But they were really doing that on Saturday. And I don't say go watch that person instead of me as like some kind of um assault or attack, but like I don't understand where if you think somebody else is enlightening people and opening eyes and all the rest of this stuff, you don't just go watch them. Free advertising. I even made a joke that if the guy got mentioned again on this one stream, I was gonna like get rid of the person who was mentioning him, and then that person's next strategy would be to like run ads on TV and have billboards with the guy's picture and channel link in his neighborhood because they're like hell bent on promoting these people. See, that's why I don't get any larger because the bigger people get promoted all over the place, and the smaller people don't get mentioned anywhere. So the bigger people grow and grow and grow, and the smaller ones just sit there in that same little cycle over and over. I just think it's sad that they really act like this man invented romance, just the way they were talking about him on Saturday. He will open your eyes. It's like so nobody else was enlightened prior to him. What? Some of the stuff they said about him on Saturday sounded like something straight out of Jim Jones's Temple. Like that makes me want to watch him even less, knowing that his people talk like that. And I'm not saying anybody shouldn't watch him. I just think it's really weird that if you have such a high opinion of this larger commentator, you're going to go to a smaller channel to start talking about that person when the conversation has nothing to do with them. So I said, if you go to Jim Cornette's podcast, their live stream, and they're like, I remember when Stone Cold says, like, okay, we get it. When was the last time? Who is this? In Milton. Well, I think he was on the stream from last week. Hey, that's the running gag. They don't address anything that's being talked about. They just come on and turn it into a Q&A. When was your last date? When was your last girlfriend? When was your last bang? How tall are you? Do you like long walks on the beach? Do you like spaghetti? Do you like sausage? Do you eat 3 meals a day? Do you lift weights? What's your eye color? What's your hair color? Do you own a vehicle? Do you drink milk? Are you always sober? Are you a teetotaler? Not gonna lie, I was lost the whole time. Well, I think I did a decent job of explaining it. So I'm not about to sit here and I mean I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. You were lost. Well, I mean, hey, what do you want me to do? Last thing I heard was Obama. I just think it's weird to go to a smaller person's channel to talk about a bigger person, to promote a bigger person. That seems kind of counterintuitive. We're not going to help the smaller person get bigger. We're going to help the bigger person get bigger off of the smaller person. 'Cause that's what they were doing on Saturday. I said, that is so crazy. They really, I was comparing romance to a comic book. In comics, they actually do this where they like bring up people that aren't even in the story and have crossovers. Damn, that's insane. Oh, James, I was just addressing that insane thing that happened this past week where people were talking about a channel with 300, what was it, 300,000 subs on a channel with less than 3,000. That made sense to them. Let's promote the bigger person on the smaller person's channel. And then let's talk about how great the bigger person is. Like, we can't just go watch him instead. And I was talking about how you would never see that done for me. You would never see somebody go to the Young Turks comment section, go, "Oh, you need to go watch Justin. He's giving all that great political knowledge, man. You got to go watch him. He knows what's up." You would never see that. They go to David Pakman's live chat. "You need to go watch Justin. He's so underrated. You need to." That never happened. That's why I said that, like, the smaller channels stay small and the bigger ones get larger and larger, because they're promoting the bigger ones over and over and over again and leaving the smaller ones to like rot or not get any larger. And then they're surprised when they're met with contempt by the smaller channel. I still don't get why people tell you that. Yeah, but James, think about this. You go to a person's stream about romance to tell them to go watch somebody else that talks about the same thing. Like, why don't you go watch them? Why does this other person who makes content need to go watch this other person? I'm gonna go to Jim Cornette's podcast and tell him to go watch Stone Cold's podcast, even though they're talking about the same thing. Oh my god! No, I'm gonna tell him to go watch Chris Jericho's podcast or his YouTube channel, whatever it is. Just let it go. No, you don't get to say that. See, if I brought him up last Saturday and then people were talking about him, that would have been me needing to let something go because I initiated this. The people that brought him up out of nowhere are the ones that need to let it go. You can't tell somebody to let something go when they're not the one that started it. Because they tend to do that. They bring up this other person. Then when you're like, can we actually discuss what I'm talking about? What did I do wrong? I don't understand. They brought him up like 7 times in one street. Yes. I don't know who started it. Well, if you're aware that I don't bring up any of these other romance people, and you know that people on the computer love to just go searching around for every single goddamn commentary that talks about this, you can infer who probably brought him up. I didn't just one day go and say, I'm going to make a video trashing this person. Even now, I'm still not doing. I'm not speaking negatively about his content because I've never watched him before. I just think it's weird that you would go to a smaller person's channel to promote a bigger person. And a lot of the stuff they were saying, just I didn't quite comprehend or understand why that was necessary. Like, again, if he's so great, why don't you just go watch him? Let it go. Oh, Jim, yeah, I forgot to respond to your message. I usually don't even respond to comments on videos anymore anyway, so that was another reason I didn't write anything back. But it's usually Saturday or Monday, Saturday and Monday, like late morning, early afternoon. Hope that answered your inquiry. Well, I don't want you to get mad because a lot of people on here will get upset with you for literally anything and everything. I had a guy who announced that he was going to unsub for me because I did one stream where at the start of it I talked about how I had this this, like, I think it was a shampoo or something that somebody threw out and it cost a bit to like get it, and like it was stupid because you could look and see how much was still in there. They were just like being an idiot, and the person was like, "I can't believe you would talk about this. This is such an irrelevant thing to discuss. I can no longer watch." And then I went and like clicked on his icon, and he's only left 2 comments in the whole time that he was supposedly this big active follower of mine. So I didn't even care, but I just thought it was funny. Like, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. Me talking about somebody throwing out something that I was still using is like just once, one time only. It's like, what a nut. Jesus Christ. James, when you do a stream, I'm gonna make on what do you call it, another account, and I'm gonna come on and be like, if you like James's content, you need to go watch Justin, even though he's, James has what is it like 10 subs and Justin has 2,000. You need to go watch him. You would never see anybody do that for me, and that would be weird to do that on your channel because it's a smaller one. I still can't believe someone will get upset because their comment didn't get read. Yeah, and remember, most of those big channels, unless you give them money, they don't read your comments anyway. But for me, I have to read every single comment. I sign like a contract or so, the comment contract. We had a guy who wrote, I think it was on like 3 streams and 4 videos. He was mad that I didn't read his comments. Like all I was doing was just not reading his comments. People are just so nutty. Like there's this big space between so and nutty. You get to really think about it. No, they get mad over everything. So I said, if you come on here and try to get the approval of people, you will drive yourself insane because anything you do will be criticized or can be criticized. Oh, that's why if you look at a lot of those comments that men wrote to me on the romance videos, it's like a perfect example of that. When you have people talking about your voice and the shirt you're wearing and your hair and just it's all over the place. Your personality, even though they've never met you, and we all know that when somebody does a video, they can act differently than how they act in real life. Uh, it was really crazy and kind of creepy too. But we already talked about the phenomenon of how none of the men that write all that stuff actually ever show proof that they're with a woman. They just make accounts, usually hiding their face, and then pretending to be these solid experts on romantic attraction while never having proof that it actually worked for them. Like, why does it matter what you look like? Well, that's just another stupid thing they do to excuse ridiculous behavior by chicks. Like, if you're just ugly, then oh yeah, it makes sense they kept doing this over and over and over. They can never criticize the woman for anything ever. I told you I was on. I've gone on Facebook multiple times and just seen random profiles where like a woman who is I don't even like saying fat, but like an old woman who's overweight will take a picture of her with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend is like always skinny or slim. And I was saying they're so lucky. I don't ever post people's actual pictures because I would if I didn't have that rule, do a whole video showing all kind of different examples of a woman who is overweight with a man who is skinny, and them talking about how you're going for women that are out of your league. And like I said, I don't believe someone being large would automatically mean that they should not get a partner. But like I said, if you're a man and like if I was as large as any of them, everybody would be making fun of me every time I did a video. It would be like a never ending, just complete. Remember how it works? It's like if a woman's fat, body positivity. If a man's not even fat, but just not, I guess, in shape, he needs to go to the gym every day or 3 times a week. There was someone out there for everyone. Yeah, I used to believe that. After this chick stuff, I can't really be convinced. Like if they're mentally ill enough to ask you on a date and then still reject you after you say yes to their proposal, that should tell you something. I don't know what James is LOLing to. True body positivity only applies to women. Yeah, but it's like men that aren't even fat, like just men that are skinny. They're not, they don't have muscles, but they're not out of shape, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's so weird how the standards are so ridiculous to where a woman who is unquestionably overweight is accepted for being overweight. But then a man that is just skinny or just like not, muscular is like derided over. Like it's so weird. And like I said, it's not women going on my video going, "You need to exercise to get one of us to like you." It's other men analyzing the width and length of my neck and how, like, it's so creepy. I'll tell you, if you really sit there and like actually think about what these men do, you'll get even more disturbed. I wish I could believe that, but I'm not really convinced about that as time passed. Yeah, I don't believe it either. Also, did you mention about this fallen friend in your title? I'll rewatch the stream and stuff. No, I haven't gotten to him yet. I was just trying to cover the free advertising topic where there's a new phenomenon of people going to your channel to talk about and promote somebody else, even if the other person is like 30 times the size of you as far as subs and views are concerned. I thought this was really weird because I don't understand why, if this person is so great and amazing, you can't just go watch that person. That's like me hanging out with some woman. I'm like, oh man, when I used to speak uh to Terry, she was so nice. Like, well then go talk to Terry. Why are you talking about Terry when you're with this other person? Like that's weird. Yeah, I doubt that could work. Oh, I'm so tired of that. Go to this country, and a magic woman will fall in love with you after going on a date and being with you for like a day or two. Maybe that's all about being at the right oh, when we start getting into luck, we don't, again, like what are you supposed to, it's another one of those things where there's nothing you can really do about that. Like, am I supposed to go get a four-leaf clover next time you ask somebody out? And some horseshoes? And why did you even mention it? I don't know why people mention this stuff. I think they all just want to make sense of something, no matter how absurd their answer is. Like I'm still looking at the comment from the person who said, "Do you think um, emotionally connecting with a woman is the key that you've missed?" What? You totally didn't emotionally connect with this person who spoke to you for weeks or months. Remember, if you find something weird or strange, it is the new norm or status quo, as it is acceptable due to the nature of the twilight zone. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you're just supposed to accept it. Like this stuff has gotten so insane. There are people who actually try to say because I wear glasses, that's like a factor in not being able to get a woman to go on a date, even though here goes people in their fan fiction again. There's been no videos to my knowledge, and maybe I was secretly recorded of me talking to a woman and then like going like you know what I'm saying, that they have to convince themselves I'm just always wearing these everywhere I go. For all they know, I could only wear these to read or to write or to drive a car. And it's like you're really gonna sit here and tell somebody that, but again, this goes back to like that double standard thing. I've never seen a single woman get told she's going to get rejected or not liked by a man because she wears goddamn spectacles. Hello? Yeah. Not yet. I'm actually streaming right now. Can I call you back? All right. Bye. Yeah, my little brother. He sent me some video last night. I didn't see it though. Glasses are the reason why you don't have a girlfriend, and oh, glasses are the reason why you don't have a girlfriend still baffles me to this day. We've never had a man have glasses and get, we've never had somebody have a partner and get with a woman. The stupidity and double standards is just ridiculous. Well, that's why I said if you sit here and actually take them seriously, you will lose your mind. Because as long as they know what you look like or they have like one little video of you, they'll overanalyze the ever living crap out of that video. When it went to a woman a question in the supermarket, before I could finish, she says loudly, "I'm married." I was like, "What does that have to do with olive oil?" Well, yeah, a lot of them think that everyone is trying to get with them. Just like remember what happened with me and Triple L, where out of nowhere that broad sent me some big paragraph over, "Just to be clear, I'm not looking for anything romantic." I'm like, what? And then she even admitted I didn't say anything to indicate romantic interest in her. She just like, again, you have a male genitalia, so you must be trying to get me because I have this inflated ego. Oh, by the way, in that script for that video, which again it is coming out this week, I recorded last night. I just need to get the screenshots. I did talk about that broad that wrote that comment on your video. Work on yourself and the right one will come along. I promise you the right one will come along. Good luck. I'm never gonna let that go. Her comment and then the thing with that broad asking me on the date are gonna be like the new two things that just keep getting mentioned over and over. Yes, very true. A lot of chicks like that. They always, you know, I think is funny. If you told them that they were like, let's say they're talking to some man, right? They don't like it when people say they want this man to be their boyfriend or they want to go on a date with him or something. But then they will accuse men of like just of trying to get with them just because they have a, again, male genitalia. Like just because they're a man, they must be trying to get with them. So they want to be talk to men and like not be accused of having some kind of romantic angle with it. But then if a man talks to them, it has to be romantic. That has to be the ulterior motive to speaking to her. You see how again it's like double standards. They want to talk to people of the opposite sex without being accused of trying to get something romantic out of them, while also accusing you because you're of the opposite sex of trying to get something romantic out of them. Oh my god! And I told you that if you look at the stuff that these broads do, it's like so weird, and you know that if you did it, you would get accused of trying to get with someone like all the different broads that asked me for a picture of myself on Instagram. It's so creepy. Why would you need luck if you're promising someone? Oh, that's in the video too. Why would you need luck if you're promising someone something? I don't think that makes much sense. Hey, remember, it's the new nonsense. I didn't think it made sense for people to promote a guy with 300,000 subs on a channel with less than 3,000. The new nonsense. Megumi, tomorrow I promise you I will pay you $20. Good luck. James, I'm going to have you on the stream. By the end of it, I can promise you you'll have 100 subs. Good luck. Oh my God. Oh, Megumi, do you remember where they would say that like men who have a trouble getting with the because remember we always have to have these stereotypical personalities. They said that men who have trouble getting with a woman have like a lack of confidence. Do you remember that? where they say that like you have to like not believe in yourself and that's the reason it doesn't work out, or that you're not assertive. Remember, do you remember that where they write that stupid trash? I don't know if you remember that stereotype. Oh, I don't ever share. Usually, the only I do sometimes, but it's just the justification for me is that I'm not ashamed of the way I look. Even though people on the computer try to convince me to be, it doesn't work. But I thought that line was funny because it's like they try to make it seem as if chicks themselves are not cowards, like they don't get scared, and like that broad that asked me on a date. Somebody like that, they'll say she's brave because she asked me on one. So they always say like the men are the ones that are cowards because they're like scared to talk to chicks, even though you would never approach 90 of them if you were scared. But the chicks that never approach men, even the ones they think are attractive, are not cowards. Yeah, they want to assign these personalities to you and cite the reason why you aren't with someone. And it's so crazy because most of the people doing that you've never even spoken to. They just watch a little 10-minute clip of you talking about this topic. I know what happened with you. I know his personality. If he was wearing a different shirt, like it's just that's why I said it's like this weird over analysis that it's worthless talk because it's a bunch of fan fiction stuff that they can't prove that is like designed to be as unfair to you as possible. Yeah, it is a window into yourself, but it's like again, if you look at your actual experiences with these people, you can find these faults reflected in them instead of yourself. Like, oh, you probably are lacking in confidence. Okay, but if this woman had confidence because she asked me on a date, then why did she turn into a wimp? Why did she have to run and hide behind her mother when I called her from a blocked number and then block me instead of speaking? That's strong. That's brave. Let it come out on here that I got so scared to talk to a woman who I asked on a date that I blocked her, and then I had to have my dad or my mom answer the phone. I would have been called a pussy so quick. But again, because there are standards for men and no standards for women, she gets away with that. Nobody demeans her or tries to say that she's lacking in some critical area of personality traits that would be required to get with someone. It's so stupid. Nobody is allowed to criticize chicks ever, though. Yeah, they love to jump to conclusions. Definitely, Jim. I just think it's not like that's why I don't respond to comments anymore. And why when those people come on a stream, I don't really feel like talking to them or I'd like request they provide proof because there's been this weird double standard where you like the legitimacy of your claims about yourself is questioned what by people who want you to take what they have to say at face value. So I'm going to cast doubts on Megumi's recollection, but he's supposed to believe me. I don't have to show him any proof. He has to show me proof, but I don't have to show him any because I have a double standard that he needs to adhere to. I think that's really stupid. 50% of the population is sacred. So they act like chicks are an endangered species the way they go out and protect them. You'll have more people who will defend a woman after she spends 2 or 3 months talking to some guy that she claims to not be interested in after wasting his time for a quarter of a year. Then you have people who would defend my brother if he got like a D on a test or something. Nobody's gonna say he was too warm or the test was too tough. They all say you should have studied more. Yeah, really unfair and stupid. That was another point I made that like I've never seen an instance, and maybe this does happen, just like, sure, maybe this has happened, but I've never seen it. Every time it's like someone talks to a broad, like talks to a person that doesn't like them back, and it's for like a long amount of, it's always a woman doing that to a man, just like spinning his wheels, like pretending to like him, and then revealing at the end, oh, not really. Like I've never seen a man talk to a woman for 2 or 3 months and be like, I only like you as a friend. It's always the other way around. Oh my God. I just thought that was funny that every time somebody wastes another person's time, it's always the woman doing that to the man. Just like it's always the man paying for the woman's crap. It's always the more famous man that gets with the lesser known broad. It's like just you can go down the list of how relationships, if you really just keep thinking about them, they're like explicitly designed to always be in favor of the broad, and then like the man just has to, I guess, navigate around that somehow. And I told you, for all the different times people said, what can you offer a woman? What can you give to a woman? Nobody ever asked, what can a woman give to you? What can she offer you? Other than the triangle, which you can already buy from, you know, a pay girl in Vegas. Have you ever noticed that they never ask or tell you, here's what a woman can give you or provide for you? It never happens. It's always, what can you give them? Being led on is a really horrible feeling, especially if it's a chick you've invested time and effort into wanting to form something meaningful. Like I said, the whole point of somebody like Triple L, the reason she lasted as long as she did for like 9, 10, 11 months. And when I say that, a lot of people always think, oh, you were talking to her every day. No, it's like just somebody you speak to several times a month. Um, the whole reason she lasted as long as she did was because I I said this is going to be the ultimate attempt at like um when people say, "Oh, be her friend first," and I just kept waiting and waiting and that she all the usual crap. We have a connection. I consider you a friend, and and then you ask her on a date, she says no. That was the end of that. But you get the same result from a bimbo that you spoke to for 10 months as you would from one you spoke to for 10 days. There is no difference. Oh, it is one sided. Telling you, I can, like, if I went and looked through my comment section diligently, I could find maybe 5 different instances where people are talking, "You do this for me," but it's never. Remember, you have to do all this stuff for one on just to get a date, not to get married. You know, just a date. It's never what can the woman do for you. That never comes up. Like it's supposed to be this big, huge privilege to just be around them. You know, that's why I said people treat them like they're gods among men. You got to do all this stuff to appeal to this person just because of their genitals, but they don't have to do anything to appeal to you. You know, I even gave the example of how if I was trying to get with some famous actress, then I could understand doing some of this stuff. You know, like I even like, but then the joke I forgot to point out is if I actually did have some famous actress try to show interest in me, I would like online, I would think it was a joke because I'd be like, why the hell? Like, if it's this hard to get a regular broad nobody ever heard of to go on a date, trying to get an actress to go on a date is like some kind of it's like trying to catch a unicorn or something. At least if somebody says that person's out of your league, I would actually believe it. But as for the rest of them, no, it's just people not being able to make up in their mind what they want. You really can't get them to do anything. Like when I think about how you had a broad who scheduled to have a phone call with you 6 times and she kept standing you up over and over and over again. And then you have a broad that you ask to make a recording that takes less than 1 minute, and for a whole month she doesn't do it, and then gets into an argument with you and then blocks you a day later. It really makes sense it's this hard to get a date, because if they can't even have a phone call or record something that takes less than 1 minute, I'm not surprised they can't sit down at a restaurant for an hour or two, or a movie theater or whatever. Like, it all lines up together. This just proves that society still believes the man is the breadwinner while the woman does nothing. I thought everyone's supposed to be equal. Well, equality is only good when it's, for certain stuff. Listen to this woman and treat her as you would anybody else. Except you also need to have muscles to go on a date with her, and or to maybe go on a date with her, and also be a millionaire to maybe go on a date with her. People preach equality in one ear and female supremacy in the other. My equality, yeah. It's good when it's good, and usually it isn't. Because again, if it was true equality, you would see chicks approaching men and doing stuff to try appealing to us. You are never, dude. I could have 1 million subscribers. You are never going to see a broad come on here or some other website and say, to get a date with me or with some other man on this website, she's going to go to the gym and become a millionaire and increase her status. Because everybody knows that no one cares enough about men to do all that ridiculous stuff just to maybe get them to go on a date. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the power dynamics are so skewed in favor of the chick that people can tell you as a man to do that stuff with a straight face. And then if like a woman were to do this stuff to get with the man, it would be almost laughable, because it really is like a goddamn joke to do all that stuff for someone that nobody ever heard of and who isn't worth doing that stuff for in general. Broads that approach, it's probably a YouTube prank. Well, I don't even know anymore. I used to think that was the way that this would be solved, because why else would she approach someone if she wasn't serious? But I mean, even then they act stupid too. Yeah, I just don't trust them anymore. I think they're a bunch of liars. I just don't understand why it's so hard to get a goddamn date. All you're doing is sitting there at a table talking to somebody, and they just turned it into this overzealous, like, extraneous task for no reason. God, man, they make everything that's so simple just overly complicated. Like, why do you need to talk to someone for 3 months to sit at a restaurant? This is stupid. And you know it is, because when you have whole groups of men online talking about how hard it is to get with a woman, it's even more proof of just how insane this has become. Even if you criticize a chick in a non-disparaging way and such, you'll still get people who think that it's harsh. Yeah, you don't have to call her any names. When I criticize these chicks, never show what their pictures look like, never show what any of them look like, right? Never talk about the way they look ever at all. And I have people saying, "You're too ugly," just so again, it's designed to be as unfair to the man as possible. 3 months, what a scam. Well, that's why I did the video on that. Anyways, let me talk about this fallen friend. Um, I was talking to my best friend last night, and we were discussing the first topic of the stream, which was free advertising, and how like it's weird to bring up somebody that has nothing to do with what you're talking about. And I brought up this guy that we used to be friends with, and he's an athlete at a college. I'm not going to say what sport it is, and I'm not going to say what school it is. But neither of us has looked him up in several years. Like, just because again, when these people exit out of our lives, that's it. We don't think about them, or if we do think about them, we don't look them up. We don't try to see what they're doing currently, because what they're doing no longer matters. They're out of our lives. They don't care about us. We should do the exact same back to them. And this is someone who I was friends with from the time from when I was in second grade to I think it was 11th grade. So like a 9-year period, like 2005, 2014, and then he blocked me on Instagram because he posted. Think how funny this is. You're supposed to be this big time player for a sports team, and then you're on Instagram begging somebody to talk to you on FaceTime. And then when someone who you've known for almost a decade says, "Yeah, sure, I'll speak to you," you block them. And this is someone who I considered up to that point a friend because I always had his number. I met him off campus several times. So it was a big shock to me, just big slap in the face, one of the biggest backstabbings I've ever had. Um, so we looked this guy up, or rather, my best friend does, and the first thing that comes up is a goddamn mugshot from when he got arrested for possession of some drug or whatever almost 2 years ago. And again, it's news to us because we don't look up this person, we don't talk about him, so just him getting mentioned made us think about how this is a guy who, this person introduced me to my best friend. The two of them went to a summer camp in first grade. And then when they started before first grade, then when they started the first grade school year, I was introduced to my best friend by this person. And we went to school together for about, he left that school and he was in fifth grade. I was in sixth grade. So we went to school together for about 5 years. And then after that, I met him again on Facebook, and he gave me his number. We had a couple of phone calls, and then just progressively he stopped responding, and then that ended up happening. But this was someone who I tried to keep in contact with, and someone who will always have had that impact of introducing me to another person who's lasted a hell of a lot longer than he did. So just to know that he is like at this school getting arrested over being an idiot with some drugs it was just really crazy to think about, like this, just how far removed we are from him to where that we don't even know that happened, even though it was over a year ago and it had an article written about it. I just thought it was really sad just how, I know we were having this conversation about how this person used to be so close to. And when I left the school I went to for seventh grade after it closed down, I really tried very hard to keep in contact with several of my, I don't even want to just say classmates, but contemporaries. I was friend requesting different people on Facebook. And at the time, I actually didn't have my best friend's number. So what I had to do was friend request his sister, and then I think it was his dad as well, and then like ask them for his number. So he was probably, ironically enough, the hardest person to keep in contact with because he wasn't even on that stupid website. And it's just sad that that's why I don't like what I said about how you can look at a lot of friendships and see how one-sided they are and draw a connection between those and these romances where it's one person trying to make it work and the other one is like, just, yeah, whatever. Okay. Yeah. I'll speak to this. Like I have one person who literally, I haven't spoken to them in 8 years and I still have their phone number. And I set a challenge to them. I said, I didn't say this to them because I never tell people directly if something they do is like, if there's a test or something, but I said, if I'm tired of this one-sided friendship, because every time I go to this person's house, I have to ask to come over. I'm never invited. So if this person calls me, I will answer. And if he requests for me to hang out with them, I'll do that too. And it's been 8 years and that person has never called me and never asked for me to come over or do anything with me. And this person I used to go over the house of all the time when I was in like second, third, fourth, and it's so sad to watch these people, expect you to just always be the one that attempts to do something with them. And that's why I got tired of just, the abuse. Yeah, Megumi, I still have his phone number in my stuff. Never been called by it once since 2013. I don't have the actual phone record of that, but I'm saying that I said back then, if this person calls me and asks me to do something, I'll do it. Never happened. But again, you can look at a lot of these friendships I had from back then, and you can compare them to a lot of these romances. Brandon, the number is there for symbolic purposes. If I get called by his number and don't know what it is, and then I refuse to answer because I don't like answering random numbers I've deleted, 'cause I'm not going to recognize it, I would feel bad because I had done something to indirectly make myself responsible for me and this person not speaking again. So it's not the point of the story. Point is to say that the relationship was one-sided, which is why it didn't continue. I just think it's very sad, and that it that those early irritations were like a precursor to what a lot of chicks do now, where you're expected to be the one that initiates contact with them, who tries to get them to go on a date, who try just everything has to be from your side. And it's so crazy that like those were kids that did this stupid stuff when that happened when I stopped speaking to them, and now these are grown women that do the exact same dumb thing. Just another one-sided relationship to add to the huge tally if you consider the romantic ones too. Yes, but these, um, by and large, were before the what's the way of saying it? I've talked about how it was the period of like 2015, 2016 where I was on Reddit and just messaging a whole bunch of chicks, and that's where like it turned into over 90 rejection, just ballooned. So these interactions where these guys won't just message somebody back or call a person a couple of times a year were the first examples of how one-sided these relationships can be, how it's always that person that has to do all of the effort to keep this stuff going. And then even if you keep it going, you still get rejected. You know, I never would have thought in a million years a person that I knew for 9 years, who gave me their number, who I used to go and hang out with off campus, who I used to speak to every day at school, would block me after I say I want to speak to him on FaceTime, after he puts up a post on social media asking for someone to talk to him on FaceTime. I couldn't believe it. I almost thought it was some kind of joke, like maybe my phone was glitching. But again, when he started playing that sport for whatever school that was, he thought he was a celebrity. But then you over here begging for somebody to talk to you on Instagram. And I was just imagining that nobody actually wanted to talk to him on FaceTime. It's like, oh, it'll just be one of those lonely nights. No, that hurt. Someone I knew for that long to you might as well just taken a knife and plunged it into me. Because at least with the other one, I can say, well, you know, he's passive. So if you call him, he'll respond and do something. But this one was like, no, I don't. Person that I've known for almost 10 years, I don't care. You're nothing to me. Get lost. And again, that person I'm always going to remember because they introduced me to someone else that actually stuck by my side. So it was funny looking at that mugshot. Him and his little stupid dreadlocks, and the school coach talking about this matter is being handled internally. It's like, thanks for the riddle, buddy. Explain to us what you're going to do so that your student doesn't act like a clown and have illegal drugs with him. We even had a joke that if he ever did come back to our state, and like I did see him, because I know he hangs at some mall or whatever, I would pretend to not know who he is and be someone who just was interested in that particular school program for whatever sport that was, and be like, "Oh yeah, can you autograph or take a picture with my brother? He's a big fan of the team that you're on." And it would just be so funny if that actually works. Like he doesn't recognize me, the person that he was supposedly friends with for from when he was in what was it, first grade, all the way up to when he was in like ninth or 10th. I would take great joy in that because it would inflate his ego even more to think that, oh yeah, there's just this random person that recognizes me from my sporting days that ended in disgrace with one of the worst mug shots I've ever seen. He's like, oh my god. No, him and that other guy, and then there's another one who I knew that blocked me. That like it was again like a surprise. We didn't speak as often, but I knew him for just as long. It was like those three are like predecessors of the like problems that I have with these chicks where they don't care. Every time you speak to them, it's you that initiates it. It's so one sided. Oh, somebody's messaging me on here. Yeah, the internet is acting up on my phone. Megumi says, "Holy cow!" No, you can draw a direct line between how I was treated by him and also just how these chicks treat men in general. But that's why I said it was disturbing because a guy, I when you consider that that was a 17, 16, like late, like teenager that did that, and then now we have these grown women doing the exact same thing. Doesn't sound like a friend at all, and him blocking you like that wasn't very cash money of him to do. Well, again, that's why I gave the examples of things that had happened earlier. This was someone who willingly gave me their number, who I used to speak to at school every day for years. Um, I don't really know what else I can tell you. I'm saying that yes, we grew apart, but I still wouldn't have expected that until it happened because up to that point, if he did not say something when I messaged him, I could, in good faith, assume he was busy. So I don't know what else I can tell you. Am I supposed to believe that he spoke to me for 9 years as part of a sinister plot to get me to believe that this was my friend, and then then banned me? Like that was all part of a ploy. We were never friends. It was all just this big trick. I agree that that doesn't sound like something a friend would do, but that's why it shocked me. I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" If I did like a top 10 list of the top 10 shocking things that ever happened to me, that would be in there. Yeah, the ultimate plot twist. Somebody you knew for that long, just right in the heart. Tell you, none of those chicks and like the way they act have ever been as surprising because none of those chicks I ever know for that long just for them to do what they did. I'll always remember that. The ultimate plot twist. But you get the point I'm making that it's sad that someone you spoke to for that long does that. But like you said, his ego was probably inflated from being a big college athlete. Well, at the time he wasn't in college. He was a high school player. And that's why I said that like only around that period did he start to become less frequent and kind of like more and more distant. But again, it still shocked me because, like I said, when you show someone nothing but a willingness to speak to them, like, hey, how are you doing? And then another person doesn't respond, you assume They're just busy, they have things going on. So for that person to block you, it's the ultimate rejection of those attempts to keep that dialogue going. And I just thought that was very sad. No, me and him last night were sitting there just thinking about how that's the person that introduced us to each other, and now we have nothing to do with it. Just completely phased out. Like it feels like a lifetime ago when you actually did something with that person. But again, you can trace a direct line between what they did, like him and that guy that never called me, and then the other one I mentioned I didn't go that much into that blocked me. Um, those are all people I met in a span of a year when I was at this preschool I used to go to, or it was a preschool with a middle school, whatever. Uh, Met them when I was in first grade for the case of two of them, and then second grade for this one. It's like these are people who, again, I went to school with for years, and after not being going to school with them anymore, still tried to keep it going. And for most of them, it just didn't work out. And I don't feel bad because just like how I remember with the chick thing, I tell you that you shouldn't feel bad when so many other men are affected by it. My best friend said all these people did the same thing to him. They don't call him, they don't contact him. They're doing this to everybody. They're doing this to each other. Yeah, for real. That's very unfortunate as it is a bigger blow when you consider how long you've known the person for and also introduce you to your best friend you have today. Yeah. He said, I'm the sole survivor. I'm the only person from back then he still speaks to. I think that's so sad because I had a whole bunch of stuff in common with those people. Used to talk about with them about kind of different stuff and just look at how it ended. It's, oh, you don't go to school with this person anymore, so now you ignore them when they try to talk to you. When they try to do things with you, you block them after you request that someone does this with you. A lot of men are no different from females. They're unreliable. Again, this isn't just a thing with a stupid chick. This is a person who you knew for almost 10 years, who you used to talk to every day, who gave you their number and used to speak to them on the phone from time to time for a couple of years after not going to school with them anymore, who one day says on social media, I want somebody to talk to me on FaceTime. You send them a message saying, hey, I'm interested in talking to you. Thrown away like just an old coffee table. You're nothing. And again, it goes along with the I don't even know who that Flyo person is. I'll read his comment later, but it goes along with that whole thing of if you want to say this person was never your friend, then why did they act friendly to you for years leading up to that? Why did they give you their number? Why did they have calls with you before that? Again, it's like you can't you it's easy to look at the thing they did to end it and say this is not a thing a person that was your friend would do. But if you look at everything leading up to that, it screws with your brain because you never know who's going to do this to you. That's why I don't trust a lot of the people on here. If somebody I knew for that long could do that, there's no hope for the rest of them. Only way you can friends or a girlfriend is by getting a driver's license and nice car. Then they'll crawl to you. Yeah, this woman totally doesn't just like me for my vehicle. Imagine how crappy of a person you have to be, like to where you only like someone because of that. I again, you would never see a man say, "I date this woman because she drives a nice car." It would never happen. I also have someone like that as well who I've been to school with for years and has not my number, but doesn't ever message or call me at all years long. Yeah, they act like you don't exist. He says, "Oh dear, not this again." I hope they're joking. But Megumi, isn't it sad that you know this person for this protracted amount of time, and then they don't it like it means nothing to them? Like seriously, you could look at that person now, that guy, and you could interview him about his whole life for maybe 2 hours. I would never get mentioned, um, and it would be like we never even met each other. Because if I was interviewed about my upbringings, I would mention, him and these other couple of people because these are people I spoke to for years. That had some impact. Uh, Hell, one of them still has a continuing impact because we continue to talk to each other regularly. But I just think it's really sad that stuff has become how it is. Again, because you tried so hard to prevent. It's just like with the chick thing. Talk to all these different women. You try so hard to prevent being single, and it never works out because they have these ridiculous standards, and they like to waste people's time and play mind games and all the rest of this stuff. Let me see. What does getting you what does getting car have to do with getting blocked? I don't even know. He wouldn't have blocked me if I had a Mercedes. You know how it is, man. They always just they find some way to spin it to another thing. Just like what did that person they were bringing up on Saturday have to do with what I was talking about? Like that's why I said that they turned him into the main character of romance. It's so weird. Let's bring up this bigger person on a smaller person's channel. I like how Megumi says, "Oh no, not this again." Instead of a recurring villain, we have just like recurring acts of just strangeness, I guess. No, it was real nice looking at his mugshot and just thinking about how I was treated the last time I tried to contact him. Because again, I remember I'm a sore loser, so I hope all the people that do bad things to me have bad things happen to them. So when I see that reaffirms why I feel that way. Because when you treat someone well and then they choose to you know do what he did, I don't feel bad. Like you said, they're billboards. Yeah, that is insane to me. You would never catch me doing that for anybody ever. Just go watch this person that has nothing to do with what this man is talking about. That's like going to a McDonald's expo where they're talking about like their new food they're making. Like, oh, Burger King's making a burger too. Go over there. It's like what? We're going to talk about McDonald's. They don't care. I think only the shy women with glasses or the unattractive one will block you or keep hanging up the phone every time that you will try to have a nice conversation. I just think they're weird and that if you sit here and try to understand them, you'll lose your mind because what they do lacks understanding. I mean, he does live out of my city, but can still call or message me anytime and doesn't ever do it. I used to message him quite frequently, but I do feel like this becoming one-sided. Well, that's why I said that this is not the 1800s where people had to write a letter and then have it delivered by boat or some other method that took days. You have cell phones that you can call somebody on even if they live in another state. Um, you have Skype or Discord. You can use that to talk to people that live in other countries. I'm just not sympathetic to these people because it's never been easier to stay in contact with others. And it's like they just don't care. And those glasses must be some really powerful weapons. Huh? I used to like this woman, and then she came over there wearing glasses, and I was like, no way. Yeah, they love bringing up these different accessories and pretending they're such a detriment. Like I'm supposed to be blind or go get contacts so that a woman that doesn't like me will now have a 2% higher chance of liking me. Like, dude, even one of the people that said that admit it doesn't make a difference, or like a very tiny, small one that's so minuscule it's not even worth doing it. Oh my God. That's why I said it's best to just ignore when they write that kind of stuff because it's all over the place. It's funny that I was accused of overthinking, uh, like getting rejected or whatever. But if you read some of the stuff people write, they're analyzing and interpreting everything. Like you sat this way, which means you have a 20% smaller chance of attracting someone. It's just so I said, why bother? And if a person has your number and can contact you anytime, that just means they don't want to talk to you. But then again, what was the point of exchanging numbers? Then people are weird. Remember the broad that was in I told you about on the Saturday stream 3 years ago? I met her in the mall. I asked her for her number. She gave me her Facebook account. So I figured she wanted to talk on there. I messaged her. She says, I am too busy looking for school and work, so I cannot speak to you. Sorry. So then what was the point of giving me your number or giving me your account? Like, again, it's like, it's weird. What is the point of giving someone your contact information if you're not going to stay in goddamn contact? Like, that's why I said if you really sit there and think about the things that they do, you will lose your mind. Megumi, if you don't believe me, I think I might still have that message. I'm gonna give you my account so that when you message me, I can tell you that I'm too busy to talk to you. That is insane. And I go on Instagram and she's over there posting pictures of herself doing this and all these other little stupid poses. Yeah. Don't worry, I didn't say anything because I'm not here to inflate anybody's ego. I just sat there and was kind of it's like, wow, you'll really sit here and take 3,000 pictures of yourself before you have one conversation with me. That's why I said women don't care about you, but nobody wants to listen to that because they want to convince you. No, just keep trying, just keep on. It's not the people, it's the new generation that are so sensitive. Or when you try to ask a woman out, she'll feel uncomfortable, probably call the cops on you. Again, a lot of them just have inflated egos. Like they think every man they speak to is just, plotting this masterful plan to get them to go on a date. It's just, so I said the whole thing is really tiring. This person is online, but they will not write anything back. It is so crazy, whatever. But yeah, I mourn my fallen friend, not for who he has become, but for who he used to be. I just think that's so crazy. Now it's because they have a whole lot of other guys they can choose from, so why not choose the best, I guess? I mean, I think if we had 20 or 30 chicks trying to talk to us at once, it would be a little hard to pick one. But that still isn't like an excuse to sit here and waste people's time. I think what she meant was that she wasn't ready yet to speak to you over the phone. I still remember what what that no, you know what? It wasn't even that one. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. There was a broad on Reddit that I told her I've never met someone who became attached to another person just by like writing messages to them. So I asked if we could speak by Skype or some other voice thing. And she was like, I will not speak to you unless it is by writing. It's like, oh, so it's my way or the highway. And then that's when Triple L, when, like I was telling her about, I was like, I think she meant that she wasn't ready to speak to you over the phone yet. And I had to go in my messages on Reddit and pull up where that bimbo wrote, I will only talk to you by text. Like fan fiction, like that's what you know what? Just like a comic book, they have retcons where people try to change things that happen. So forget what the broad actually wrote. Here's my warped recollection of what she said, even though it's there in black and white. Most chicks are racist and they always choose. Well, I don't know what evidence you have to support that. They call everybody racist on here. Like I was called racist for saying that my preference was black women, even though, like I said, most ethnic groups date people from their respective group. Like most white people date other white people. Most Hispanic people date other Hispanic people. Like saying you have a preference is racist. Oh, and if she gonna call the cops, you're probably are a weirdo. Listen, these chicks are filled with BS. They love the attention. Yep. I'm so tired of this internet acting just ridiculous. I was just writing something that lasts. Um, attractive. What do you think about self improvement in regards to women? I think it's a waste of time. I think the idea that you have to perform an extraneous or a series of tasks for the purpose of getting a woman to reciprocate your romantic attraction is absolutely insane. Because, like I said, you're not going to see somebody say, "You want to get with Justin? Time to go to the gym. Time to get famous." It would never happen. How much do you need to improve yourself before you are worthy of attracting the sexiest women? What does that even mean? I've had broads I thought were attractive. I show a picture of them to somebody else. She's ugly. So I don't. So I said that beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Then they cheat on you anyway. I mean, hey, remember what happened with the dingbat with the baby? Guy pays for a storage unit, and then he's over here seeing her hanging out with some. I saw her hanging out with some other guy at the mall, and she got cursed out by him for cheating. So I even the ones that are like, I don't even think she's sexy. Like just any of them can do that to you. Yeah, replace him with the backup guy. Self improve for yourself. These chicks don't care. Dude, imagine how terrible you would feel going to the gym every day and getting muscles and then like doing all the other stuff, and then you're still getting rejected. Women are still saying, "I like you as a friend." You'd be so mad. Like, what is this big waste of time? Who are the sexiest women? Go to a dating coach, you'll find out. Wait, James, what were you laughing about? Guess it depends on taste. For me, I mean, I guess that's fine, but I'm just saying that I don't really see. Yeah, dating coaches are scammers. If people don't see what's wrong about doing all that stuff for a random broad, I don't know what else to tell you. Like I said, you're not going to see a single one of these broads get on here trying to do all this exercise and improvement crap just to get you to go on a date with them. Would never happen. It's too subjective. That's the thing, dude. Well, that's my point. It's either subjective or they're using nebulous terms. Appealing to a woman emotionally, just like, come on, man. So I said people talk in riddles because I personally don't find those to set me neither. But it's like, let's pretend you thought they were attractive, right? Like, or thought they were the most attractive. Why do you have to do all this stuff for them when, again, we don't even know if they're actually going to like you back? Then there are men with no muscles and less money who have. Well, yeah, that's why I said I don't believe in this stuff. Like, I don't believe you have to do all this stuff to get a date. How do these men in the hood, in these poor communities, have children if you have to have money to get a date? Exactly. Dating coaches will always say this is why you lose because you always complain about women. I mean, are we not allowed to complain? Because there was a large period where, again, I didn't make any videos about this, still got the same result. It was 2011 to 2015, like that whole year. I was just like, wow, just don't say anything. It'll change. They just kept saying it over and over, year after year, and they never did. And they're, all right, well, I don't care anymore. And like I said, most men that get rejected don't make videos or post online about women. My best friend's never made a video, never posted, and still same thing. But it makes a difference. That's just another stupid thing they say to get you to censor yourself. Hell, no, I'm not going to say that. You were right when you said a woman can approach you first and still reject you. Yeah, that's what happened in that video. I swear to you, I've never had a woman ask me on a date before. Like, never before a few weeks ago. It finally occurs. And then it's the same old BS. Like, you think you and this person are going to go on a date and that's just going to be the end of it? Oh, no, meet my parents first. Talk to me and get to know me. Oh, no, I'm not really interested in men. Like, then what was. It's always something. They always screw it up. And sounds to me that guys aren't allowed to complain or discuss this topic. Women can talk about how much they don't like what men do, but men can't talk about what they don't like that women do. Told you, it's all one-sided. Everything's geared in favor of the broad. Don't put me in that dumb group. Yeah, well, I told you all of this is about making individuals part of teams. I'm surprised one of them doesn't wear an eye patch and appear randomly at my house. I'm here to talk to you about the Romance Initiative. You think you're the only sperm man in the world? You've become part of a bigger universe. He steps out of the shadows, go back to their headquarters. You're just like us complaining about women. So does this group own a monopoly on complaining about women? Like, if I criticize the Democrats, right? Just I criticize the ones that run my state. Am I now a Republican? You can only criticize them if you're part of that team. If I criticize AEW's wrestling, am I now a Vince McMahon fan? I'm a WWE boy. Like, it's why do you have to be part of some faction just to have an opinion? Oh, it's very insane, but hey, Twilight Zone. Like, this is the romance comic book. We got retcons and plot twists and recurring villains, crossovers, references to past events, including ones that had nothing to do with us. You guys don't. Man, the only chick I ever dated was Hispanic. So if you really believe I have a problem with Latino women, go argue with the wall. Go do this. Yeah, man, I do that. If you're gonna sit here and try to ask me if I don't like Hispanic chicks. We were just talking about friends, and you came along talking about women. Yeah, I told you the only it's first come first serve. If they show interest, I'll actually do it. But if it's just some stupid crap, no. Yeah, nobody said that. No one in here has disparaged Latino women. So I don't know what. So I said, go argue with the wall. Talk to that. All that fan fiction. No worries. If it was no worries, you wouldn't have said, you guys don't like Latino women. Like, what? Oh my God. Everyone has different taste. Well, I don't have a race taste. I have a preference, and then I accept the other ones. I don't really care. I just think they all do the same stupid stuff, regardless of their ethnicity. So it's like no matter where they live, because I have people who go to another country. It's the same dumb stuff. Who doesn't like black women or white women? What? I hope you're not talking to me. Like if you actually say I don't like black chicks, that's the biggest lie ever told on this whole website. First woman I approached was black. The second one I approached was black. The third one I approached was black. Um, Basically every single one I approached in real life, except I think one was black. Hey, come like chat has shifted to rate. How come? Yeah, again, they introduce. You see what I was saying, Megumi? They introduce these concepts. So again, I don't talk about there being a race difference because I think it's all a bunch of BS. But they introduce these concepts for these different people. They bring it up, then they turn it into that. They morph it. I mean, it's fine because we're about to end this train wreck in a few minutes anyway. I gotta go. Um, don't we just say like all types of? Yeah, they're not listening. Remember that one person that came on my stream talking about you guys have been writing sexist things about women, and not every woman is a gold. It's like no one here said that. They just come and like pick some position that is not represented by anyone in the chat or the host, and they're like, "You can't say this." Like no one here has. If you, um, I mean, okay, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, 2K gamer, but I wasn't even talking about anybody's ethnicity. I was just speaking about a guy that I felt betrayed by because how long I knew him, and then they turned this into the color palette panel. Oh my god, they always find a way to like shift things to stuff that nobody was even discussing. That's their superpower. Hey, Superman has heat vision. Wonder Woman's got the lasso. These men have like the race, the race discussion. That's what their special ability is. Oh my god. But yeah, I'm gonna get off of here. I've addressed what I needed to speak about. So more like the ice cream parlor, all the different flavors. Like I said, I used to believe in that race stuff too, but I don't see a difference. Again, that's my experience. Somebody else might have had a different experience. I don't know, but just I don't really care anymore. If one of them I think is attractive approaches me, I'll reciprocate, but it doesn't have anything to do with their ethnicity. It's first come, first serve. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. There was a lot of stupid stuff that went on this week. I hope next week is better. I'm not holding my breath. Uh, and just be careful because a lot of people, including friends that you had for almost 10 years and chicks that asked you on a date, will find a way to just right there So, oh yeah, very weird people. But thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. What is this? I sure did. Take care. Great stream. Oh, thanks. I can almost blush. So I'll see you later. Oh yeah, Jen. There is no difference. I don't know what they're talking about. But if they want to believe that, let them. Fan fiction. Just it writes itself.